Good morning. How are you today? It's a beautiful day in Virginia, and I hope you get out and get a chance to enjoy it, um, whether you're in Virginia or elsewhere. It's somewhat warm, not chilly, and the sun is out. Can't do better. Uh, Now I'm on a dirt road, but there is infrastructure elsewhere that dirt road is not sufficient, and that even paved roads with huge potholes are not sufficient, and bridges falling down are not sufficient, and on and on. We've talked about Manchin in West Virginia kind of holding up the train on President Biden's $1.9 trillion proposal to deal with infrastructure nationwide. And as far as I know, his sticking point is what the taxes will be to pay for it. So instead of 28, he would be happier with 25. And that doesn't sound like to borrow the expression, a bridge too far. But we haven't talked about the other senator in the state. Senator Capito, Shelley Capito, is a Republican, and she is related to Archie Moore, who was the governor of the state some years ago, 60s, I think, 70s. And so she's been involved in the state and its success for some time. And there was a terrible crash of the earth beneath the Yeager Airport collapsed into the valley. And she walked those grounds when that happened. And even now, the runways are not quite right. And so she noted at the time that the infrastructure is falling apart in West Virginia. There are like 1,500 bridges that are near, that are dangerous now. So she's interested in, infrastructure, and so she's a potential ally. But there are a couple of problems with her alliance. One is that she originally said something like 600 to 800 billion. Okay, so that's a fraction of the 1.9 trillion that Biden wants. And since she said that, she's been pushed back a bit. So we don't know what her real number is now. And how much of it'd be interesting, how much of it coincides to what West Virginia needs as opposed to the rest of the nation. And then finally, there's the tax question, which is she anything like Manchin agreeable to paying for these projects out of tax money and tax money to the rich? And Biden has said that any tax increases, he said, would be for those whose income was above $400,000. And some Republicans have tried to scare people saying it would be $100,000. And so there is hope, but there's also difficulty. The answer may be, since this is a budget resolution like the earlier one, they only need a majority to pass it. And if Manchin's the only one that's a holdout, then they could get it by doing it the same way they did the last one. So that may be there. I think Biden, if he has that in his pocket, he's not going to talk about that. He's going to give the Republicans a chance to join the team. And then I suspect he's going to go forward as he did with the earlier stimulus bill. And I think that's the right thing to do, both strategically and as a matter of solid policy and as a matter of need for America. A second thing that's interesting to me today is the Andrew Brown case. You may remember he's the fellow in North Carolina who's going to be arrested on drug charges, and he was going to also have his place searched. And a lot of the officers showed up, and I think it was like 8 a.m. in the morning, 8:30 a.m., so it was daylight, and they came in a pickup truck, and it ended up in them shooting at him with his hands on the steering wheel, and they killed him. And there's one bullet in the back of his head. There were 5 officers who've been identified who had their cameras on, okay? And these cameras recorded what they saw. And there was a motion to the court, Judge Foster, I believe his name is, and he entered an order, as is required by the state statute, to release such documents, in this case a video. And he entered the order on May 6th, and I believe it's going to be released today. Now, you may remember they got to see 20 seconds of the first film. Now, there is a total of about 2 hours of tape. The family is going to get to see 20 minutes of that. The judge has selected those 20 minutes, and it only is that part of the tape in which the defendant, Brown, is present. I don't think that makes sense because context is important, and I think if you don't know what's going on immediately before he's in the scene, then you don't know what's going on. But here's something else that's interesting to me. If, say it's only 5 officers, and there weren't 7, 8, or 9, and they turn on their cameras, and why is it that 4 of the cameras are on for about 30 minutes? One camera is on for 17 minutes, and one camera is on for 3 minutes. Now, the judge has authorized only one tape, the entire tape, which is the 3-minute tape, and then portions of the others. It suggests to me that the cameras weren't on all the time. I mean, if the entire event was more like 30 minutes instead of 3 minutes or 17 minutes. And how did that happen? Did they turn them off? Were they edited? So what we're talking about is spoliation of evidence. So if I'm right, the family's going to see their 20 minutes today of the 2 hours, and we'll have more information about the context of the shooting. But there is no way in the world, none, that you have to shoot a person who might, let's assume the worst case. He was trying to get away, and he was going to run away in his car. You don't shoot somebody to stop them in that situation. Now, there is some talk that he was moving his vehicle toward the officers on the scene. And I guess they're going to consider that the vehicle was therefore a weapon. Instead of getting out of the way of the vehicle, that's wrong. So there's no way, in my opinion, and I'll wait and see, but there's no way, in my opinion, that this comes out in which the officers did the right thing. And did it matter he's a person of color? Did it matter that it was a drug case? Well, you know, you're presumed innocent, and people aren't executed for almost all drug charges, and in America almost no one is executed. So what these people did was they took the law in their own hand, and they're all hyped up, and they shot an unarmed man repeatedly and once in the back of his head. So those are the two things that stir around in my head today. There's lots of other stuff going on, but I think these two are kind of pretty important. So have a good day. Get out. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.